The Arnold Classic 2023 weekend just wrapped up and it was a great show. There were so many interesting things that happened and great storylines to come out of the show. We have new Arnold Classic champion, we have giant killers, giants, we have a little bit of controversy in the men's physique division. We have all kinds of things coming out of this Arnold Classic. What I want to do today is recap the entirety of the men's divisions. Men's physique, classic physique, and of course the open. There's a lot to get into. I don't want to make this video too long, so let's get right into it. For starters, let's begin with how the Arnold Classic was ran. Starting with the lighting and the stage production, it was top notch. This lighting was way better than the Olympia. Now, the 212 and classic physique stage and lighting for the Olympia wasn't bad at all. In fact, I quite liked it. However, for the open class, the Arnold literally blew that stage and lighting out of the water 10x, right? And that's not exaggerating. The Arnold Classic lighting was way better than the Olympia Open class. The Olympia 2022 Open, quite frankly, looked like it was done in some dimly lit basement, while the Arnold Classic had some of the best lighting in recent times. So the stage at the Arnold was basically just a dark background with some hints of red and blue. And then of course there were a little bit of grays in there because there was like a shadow of Arnold doing his twisting back double shot. And then of course the Arnold Sports Festival logo. Honestly, it wasn't distracting whatsoever. It wasn't like an Olympia light show. It was done very tastefully. And in fact, I prefer that over a black backdrop. I think this gave it a little bit of flair, but also allowed for fair comparisons. Maybe not as fair as the black backdrop, but like I said, I like a little bit of flair to these shows. On top of the lighting and the stage production, the show was just ran on time and very smoothly. Prejudging wasn't over here on the East Coast at 3 a.m. like it was at the Olympia. Prejudging and finals, where they did all the awards and all of that, was still done by 10 p.m. Now, yes, this does probably have a little to do with the fact that they axed 2 women's divisions and the 212 division, so the women had 3 and the men had 3. And of course, they just had smaller lineups. They didn't have literally 400 plus competitors at the Olympia. They didn't have anywhere near that, but that's okay because it keeps the show running smoothly. Honestly, it was a very well run show and very enjoyable to watch. The Olympia took way too long, there were way too many competitors, and it was way too late. I think whoever was in charge of this should pat themselves on the back, and this has been very consistent with how the Arnold has been ran for many years. Now that that's all the way, let's get into the actual divisions. Let's start with classic physique. Your top 5 in classic were 5th, Courage Opara, 4th, Mike Sommerfeld, 3rd, Alex Cambronero, 2nd, Urs Kalasinski, and 1st, Ramondino. Starting with Alex and Mike, I feel like a lot of people had Mike in their 3rd place, simply because in the Olympia placings, that's how he would fall. Alex placed lower than Mike at the Olympia, so a lot of people just automatically assumed that Alex would be 4th, Mike would be 3rd. But Alex slightly edged out Mike, and I do feel that the only deciding factor there was mainly conditioning, but both of them have really good physiques, and Alex is very well-rounded. Now, Urs Kalasinski also looked great. I feel that he was improved from the Olympia, but not as much as he needed to be in the arms and back. I think they were both slightly improved, and everywhere as a whole on his physique was improved, but those areas needed a bit more than everywhere else, and they just didn't get it. Urs's conditioning was 10 out of 10, and his presentation, his posing skills, amazing. Even in the mandatories where he adds his little flair on things, especially in the front double, I really do like his presentation, and that's what Classic is all about. And then Ramondino, boy oh boy, was he absolutely diced. Just look at the back detail. It was honestly crazy. I think Ramon has the best back in Classic. But when there's literally hardly any skin covering it, it was saran wrap. You can see every single little detail jam-packed into that back. Ramon has a very unique skill that not only can he get super shredded, but he also can fill out. A lot of these guys have to weigh in literally less than 24 hours before they're on the prejudging stage. That doesn't leave a whole lot of time for carving up, especially after you've crashed your body into the ground trying to get below this weight cap. But Ramon is still able to peak very well and fill out very well. I think this win really solidified him as the only clear contender to Chris Bumstead, but I don't think he's that close to Chris. Chris is just in a league of his own. However, I think if Chris didn't exist, we would look at Ramon like a gift from God, kind of like how Chris Bumstead's fans look at Chris Bumstead now. Although I don't think Ramon could beat Chris Bumstead outright, I think if Chris Bumstead is to retire pretty soon or slip up majorly, Ramon is the next in line. All in all, this was a great, well-deserved win for Ramondino. Now I want to get into the men's physique division. Now, I do want to preface that I don't know what I'm talking about and I don't follow this division. But there was a little bit of controversy in the 1 and 2 spots, so I wanted to touch on it very briefly. The top two were very different physiques. And first we had Aaron Banks, and then second we had Diogo Montenegro. Aaron is more lanky. He has insanely long arms and he's less wide across the shoulders. Diogo, I feel, is kind of classic physique light. He has bigger arms and bigger shoulders, but with his wider shoulders, he has a better V-taper. The problem we're running into, I believe, is the judges trying to correct the standard. The problem is men's physique has gotten way too big. There are some guys in men's physique that if they put on classic physique posing trunks, they wouldn't make weight. And that's crazy because this division started out as a almost natural kind of look, a more attainable look. It was the beach body division. But nowadays, like I said, they can barely make classic physique weight caps. Because of that, I think the judges are trying to correct the standard that they've set. The problem is they've awarded guys like Brandon, guys that are just classic physique light for a long time, and the physiques have just gotten bigger. So when Aaron beat Brandon at the Olympia, I really do feel that that was the first kind of correction the judges wanted to make. I think Aaron beat both of these guys, Diogo and Brandon, simply because he is more natural looking. Aaron is less exaggerated, Personally, I think Diogo should have won. I am actually a big fan of Diogo's physique. I can see why they gave it to Aaron because they're trying to correct this judging standard that has gotten out of control. But I do think it's a bit jarring for fans because you've awarded a certain type of physique for so long and then Aaron wins. It's very jarring for those fans to watch because they've come to expect a certain type of physique to win, and then all of a sudden, in literally just the last couple months, that type of physique is no longer wanted in the first place spot. Now let's move on to the open class. Very quickly, I'm going to touch upon everybody that placed 10th through 4th, and then we'll look at the top 3 as a whole together. In 10th, you had Patrick Moore. Patrick Moore took some time off, and he added a little bit of size, but for the 2 years he took off, you would expect a little bit more size. Now, another big problem is that he had an Achilles tear, and you can just tell on stage. His legs did not look that good, and I do feel that he was a bit smooth everywhere. 9th, Kamal El-Garni. Most people had Kamal in their 10th place predictions, simply because he is a bit shorter, and being a 212 competitor, a lot of people just thought he wouldn't have the mass to hang. Although I put him in my 10th place, I thought he could maybe place 1 or 2 places higher if he brought that regular Kamal shredded conditioning. So he did escape the 10th place spot, the bottom place spot. However, I don't think he was as sharp as he could have been, and because of that, I think he fell to 9th. I think he could have placed 8th, but he wasn't as sharp as he needed to be. 8th, Justin Rodriguez. What is there to say but everything that we've been saying since, the Indy Pro? He needs to take some time off and he needs to take a break. I think he only placed ahead of Kamal because Justin brought some semblance of conditioning. In 7th, William Bonac. 7th place is really low for a 2-time Arnold Classic champion. William Bonac has been on the decline. I think the Arnold 2022 was just simply a high point in his downwards trajectory, but I do think he was better than the Olympia. However, he had a couple of issues, some inflamed spots, mainly in his delts. Now, there were 2 weird spots going on in the glutes. However, the most important ones are obviously going to be the delts. And whether it's synthol or not, I don't really care. It's whatever. However, the judges don't care if it's synthol or not either. They don't know. All they know is that it looks like synthol and it's not a good look, and they're going to punish you for that because they've made it clear that if you have anything that resembles some kind of synthol look, it's going to be docked. 6th, Akeem. Now, Akeem, this is honestly a really big surprise. Akeem didn't even place at the Olympia, but now beating William Bonac, that technically places him in the top 10 in the world. I think his back shots obviously leave a lot to be desired still, and he's not going to overcome that. It's just those high lat insertions really are doing him dirty. He also has this thick skin problem. I think he got rid of it in the front shots, but in the back shots, it was still kind of present. His skin is just still a bit watery back there. But from the front, he looks great. Honestly, I think his front double pose can stand next to some of the best of them. Especially when his skin is thin like it is here, he can do very, very well. His quads are cut and big. He has some of the best arms and a lot of chest thickness. Like that chest just juts out. Overall, I do think this is a big win for Akeem. Like I said, he's technically in the top 10 in the world with this placing. 5th, Sean Clarita. I see this as a massive win too. Some people even had him beating the 4th place Big Ramy. Big Ramy was 5th at the Olympia, and Sean was on his heels. And Big Ramy was looking better than the Olympia. I think drastically better than the Olympia. So him beating William Bonac as well. Sean is somewhere between the top 10 and 5th in the world. Like a lot of people expected, he can take out a couple guys based on his conditioning and muscle separation alone. And he brought that, and he picked off a couple guys. And like I said, he is now somewhere in the mix for the top 10 in the world for the open class as a guy that is under 200 pounds and sometimes even under 190. 4th, Big Ramy. The big question for Big Ramy was, will he be improved from the Olympia? And yes, he was. I think the back looked better, although I don't think that's a result of the stem cells. That's just better posing. He was very closed off in the Olympia, and he really opened up as much as possible at the Arnold. The holes in his quads were also gone. However, when he hit certain poses, I think it is evident that they used some kind of synthol filler, simply because that right quad looks a little messed up in some of these shots. His midsection was also a lot better, and I think that really helped him a lot. The midsection was tight, and the abs were not washed out like they were at the Olympia. Do I think his career is done? Unfortunately, I'm going to have to say he is definitely at the end of his career. I do think these issues are still kind of lingering. Even though he has improved a lot, they're only going to get so much better before they reach their ceiling, and they're always going to kind of linger around. And I really don't think he has any chance of ever winning an Olympia again. And then for your top 3, you had 3rd, Andrew Jack, 2nd, Nick Walker, and then 1st, Samson Dauda. Now, I want to do a very, very brief comparison just so we can get some context here. If you want to watch some more in-depth comparisons, I already have the prejudging one out now, and depending on when this video goes up, I may or may not already have the finals comparison in depth on my channel. In the front poses, I think it's Andrew in the front double and Samson in the front lat spread. Those guys just have superior structure, and I just don't think Nick can hang with them. In the side poses, I think Nick wins both. He had a great balance between upper and lower body, and one of the greatest side triceps of all time. Although Nick wins both the side poses, I think Samson is very thick in those, especially in the side chest. I can see an argument for them, but Nick has a better side leg. And then Andrew is in last in both of those poses, the side tricep and the side chest, simply because his thinness and in his hams and in his arms gets exposed when he turns to the side. Now in the back poses, I think Nick wins the back double easily. The best back out of all 3 of them, crazy thick and dense, and also the best lower body out of all 3 of them. Now in the back lat spread, I think this could be Samson's, simply because Samson is wider and his hams are better than Andrew's. Nick has better hams as a whole, and he has improved this pose in general, but I still have to give it to Samson simply because for more width. And Andrew, just to be a little bit more dangerous in this pose, needs to fix it a little and mainly get some more hamstrings. Now in the abs and thighs, I think Nick is very good, but Samson, when he turns to the side, I think he beats Nick. However, I don't think any of them beat Andrew, and I don't think it's close. Andrew has the sweep, he has the quad definition, and he has some of the best abs. There's a reason they call him Flex Wheeler 2.0. And then in the most muscular, this is Nick's all day. I think Samson looked better in the finals. And again, Andrew Jack is just kind of getting his thinness exposed. He is the lightest guy pound for pound, and he just needs to fill out a bit more. But Nick, he fills out that frame. Even though he may be the shortest, he is compact. And a lot of these guys that are compact, like William Bonac, do very well in the most muscular. Overall, think of it like this. I know some people may be disagreeing with the decision and maybe think Nick should have won. Think of it like this. Andrew has 10 out of 10 aesthetics, but he doesn't have that much muscularity. Nick has a lot of muscularity, but, very poor aesthetics. And then Samson, he has a lot of muscularity and a lot of aesthetics. So I think that's why he won, because you're getting a bit of both with Samson, both the muscularity, the conditioning, and the shape and aesthetics. Honestly, this is a great ran show. The Arnold Classic as a whole was amazing. We had a little bit of everything going on. We had a little bit of a controversy in the men's physique division, a fan favorite winning in Classic, and a highly competitive open division. I think there was a little bit of everything for everybody. Now I want to leave you with a hot take. I think if the Arnold continues on this trajectory, not just the competitors, but also treats their athletes better, which they have a reputation of treating their athletes way better than the Olympia does, but also starts giving out more prize money like they did this year, and just that overall prestige that the show already has. And as that prestige continues to grow, I do really think that the Arnold can surpass the Olympia one day. Like I said, it's just a hot take, but I want to hear your opinion. Do you think the Arnold will eventually overtake the Olympia? And what do you think about the show as a whole? Whether it be open, and whether you think about the results there. What do you think about Ramon's Packaging Classic? What do you think about the controversy in men's physique? Let me know all your opinions down in the comments below. I love to hear it. That's what makes the sport so fun. We all have opinions, so why not share them? That's what the comment section's for. This video has gone on long enough, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you guys for watching.